I'm here.
Welcome to MojoPlays, and video games are quickly becoming the definitive form of storytelling out there, rivaling even the best that Hollywood has to offer, and some developers are not only taking cues from these movies, but improving on them in ways only video games can.
How could you let the galaxy fall to this unworthy machine of an empire?
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. Baldur's Gate 3.
Abomination. This is your end.
In a lot of ways, Baldur's Gate 3 is the ultimate Dungeons & Dragons campaign, and in nearly every way feels just as chaotic and unpredictable as those knights gathered around the table with pen and dice. But Baldur's Gate 3 goes even further than its inspirations and crafts a world, narrative, and mechanics that take full advantage of everything D&D has to offer. With incredibly deep characters that all feel unique with their own motivations, incredible set pieces to engage in combat however you choose, and a cinematic presentation that Hollywood could only dream of, with worlds even the most talented team of CGI artists would struggle to bring to life. The teams at Larian managed to create a game so detailed and immersive, it's all too easy to lose dozens, if not hundreds of hours in its world.
Let's continue our ballad. Draw Ragslin, draw Ragslin, I am...
Split Fiction.
What are you doing here? Wait, what? What are you doing in my story? Something bad is going on here.
Considering game director Joseph Fares came from the world of filmmaking, it's no surprise that each of his games have a true cinematic presentation. However, even his previous efforts pale in comparison to the scale and cinematic scope of Split Fiction. With beautifully detailed worlds just ripe for big sweeping camera angles, and many of them including some kind of big Michael Bay style explosion, Split Fiction feels like an interactive summer blockbuster in the palm of your hands. Couple this with the near endless pop culture, movie, and video game references, and fans of every genre of storytelling will be pointing out every reference they catch and searching endlessly for more. Although there is supposedly a film adaptation of Split Fiction in production, we have our doubts it can match the scope and scale the game is able to accomplish. Plus, the seamless transitions between split screen and single, chef's kiss.
Really?
Black Myth Wukong.
All I ever wanted was a life in my mountain, free from you and your so-called merits.
Black Myth Wukong burst onto the scene in 2020 with a jaw-dropping cinematic trailer, and thankfully, the game was able to match, if not entirely surpass, those expectations. Recounting the tale of the Monkey King, Black Myth presents players with a wonderfully detailed world to explore, full of tiny details that bring the world to life. The epic boss clashes remain the highlight of the game, and each one stands out for one memorable moment or another. Whether it's the larger-than-life creatures or their dynamic one-on-one clashes, the sweeping camera and over-the-top moves of both the destined one and the opponent make each encounter feel like you're watching the final confrontation between the hero and villain at the end of a superhero film. The beautifully crafted world, along with the slick and stylish combat, makes the entire playthrough feel like you're the director of an epic mythological movie.
Except for that pig. You're the one who talks the tallest tales. Good. I am entertained.
Fort Solace.
Jack, your helmet, get over there now!
I'm still in here!
You need to get over there now!
Fort Solace might boil down to not much more than a walking simulator, but damn if it's not a suspenseful one. The harsh landscape of Mars makes it very clear it doesn't want humans on its surface, and the space stations feel real and lived in, with tiny details about the many astronauts and scientists who pass through filling every nook and cranny. Grounded by impressive performances from Troy Baker and Roger Clark, the tension is palpable as you explore the titular Fort Solace and uncover the mystery of its dark history. Video logs crackle, and the atmospheric lighting constantly makes it feel like you're being watched. The extremely grounded nature of the game works in its favor and makes exploring the station constantly feel like you're on the edge of death between the storm raging outside and the horrors hiding within.
I see you.
Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy.
Because you're part of Green Team.
Assign me to the team before you named it. My skin is not green. It's teal.
Teal.
James Gunn might have made the Guardians a household name, but their big video game outing in 2021 arguably told the best story of the galaxy's unlikeliest heroes. The interactivity allows players to develop deeper relationships with each character, as well as bigger stakes for the universe than their film counterparts were ever capable of. Dealing directly with themes of trauma, grief, and abandonment, the game manages to balance these darker themes with the group's typical lighthearted banter, and in a lot of ways, manages to allow the characters to shine in ways their film counterparts never could. Alongside the rich narrative, the game's worlds can be downright jaw-dropping in both spectacle and scale, and given this is a Marvel adaptation, the cutscene direction and performances are top-notch. In our opinion, this is the definitive Guardians of the Galaxy adaptation, and it's a shame we'll likely never get a sequel.
We accept you, Gamora Zenuburi.
Pretty sure we're married now.
This is excruciating.
Star Wars Jedi Survivor.
What took you so long?
Oh, just hanging out, taking in the sights.
Every Star Wars game will always be chasing the cinematic presentation of its film counterparts, but Jedi Survivor undoubtedly comes the closest. The world feels lifted directly from the films, and the story of Cal Kestis on the run from the Empire, while also attempting to find sanctuary for the Jedi Order, feels like a lost George Lucas script, or at the very least, what Luke Skywalker's story should have been. With a wealth of Jedi abilities at your disposal, as well as multiple lightsabers and stances, each fight feels like a climactic life-or-death encounter. Cal is believable as he balances his struggle between the light and the dark side, and the climactic encounters with everything from TIE fighters to bounty hunters, and even the main man Darth Vader himself feels especially cinematic and rivals anything the films attempted to bring to life. A Plague Tale Requiem.
Oh no, don't tell me.
Yes. I got something in my mouth.
I said hold your breath.
I panicked.
The Plague Tale series might wear its inspirations on its sleeve, but there's no denying the series managed to separate itself and deliver its own gripping tale set during the Inquisition and the rise of the Black Plague, and its sequel continued to define itself even further and on a much grander scale. The story of siblings Amicia and Hugo still dealing with the events of the first game as the horrors continue to follow them was emotionally gripping, and the sea of rats that constantly hunt the pair throughout the game is equal parts awe-inspiring and horrific. As with most sequels, the stakes are much larger, and so too are the set pieces and the places the pair can visit and explore. The Plague Tale series manages to bring one of the darkest parts of history to life in all its horrors, but it's the emotionally charged story that keeps you hooked until the very end.
Come on, please stop this!
Horizon Forbidden West.
It won't be long before we hit the point of no return. And then... extinction.
Horizon Zero Dawn might have laid the groundwork and lore for the series, but Forbidden West upped not only the scope of the world, but also the stakes. Delving deeper into the history of the world before the Pharaoh Plague and the many ways humanity thrived in its aftermath was incredibly detailed and realized, focusing on the aftermath of an apocalypse rather than the event itself. The larger arenas allowed for bigger encounters with towering mechanical beasts, and a tighter focus on Aloy and her companions attempting to once again save the world against overwhelming odds was given additional depth the first game was lacking. With insane set pieces and boss encounters, alongside a much deeper and emotionally charged story that routinely makes Aloy question her mission, Forbidden West builds on Zero Dawn's potential in every way to become a sci-fi spectacle that rivals the best Hollywood has to offer.
And it doesn't make sense to have someone with me. Someone who might get hurt. This is on me, Varl. Nobody else.
Silent Hill 2.
Mary's my friend. We met at the hospital last year.
Stop lying. Laura, I'm sorry.
Silent Hill 2 was already a masterpiece, but after 20 years, the original could do with some additional production value. The atmosphere of Silent Hill is more oppressive than ever, constantly keeping the player on the edge of their seat, unsure of what could be hiding in the dense fog, even for longtime series fans. The new updated character models and expressive facial features, alongside with the higher quality voice acting, bring a greater sense of nuance and emotional weight to the performances and the story that is still being analyzed 2 decades later. New dynamic cinematic camera angles, as well as the player's new over-the-shoulder perspective, puts the horror of the town front and center and further immerses them in an experience that will have them playing with the lights on even during the daytime hours. Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart.
You think a crushing defeat is all it takes to stop me? I mean, yes. Well, think again!
Ever since the PS2 days, Insomniac has been chasing the Pixar-quality visuals, and with the series' PS5 debut, they not only finally achieved their lifelong goal, but even managed to surpass the digital wizards at Pixar. Rift Apart feels like an immersive animated film that you get to control. The character models are even more detailed and expressive than any previous entries, and the worlds are more vibrant and inventive, especially the Rift worlds, full of hidden details and secrets. The weapons are more bombastic, and the details as enemies explode into shrapnel and other bits is just peak Insomniac showing off. The camera will routinely swing around the environment to show off these incredible details, and the narrative tying everything together is the series' most emotionally charged, with multiple twists and turns that will have you laughing 1 minute and holding back tears the next.
Be careful out there. Wow. Another Lombax.
Kina, Bridge of Spirits.
I sense suffering here, Spirit. Do you need help?
You know nothing of suffering.
Created by the same studio that brought us the beloved Majora's Mask short Terrible Fate, Kina is a vibrantly detailed animated adventure come to life with you in the director's seat. The entire world is brimming with personality, from the adorable and tiny Rot, which can be used to solve puzzles and battle enemies, to the world slowly overrun by the Blight and the many enemies and disturbing bosses it spawns. The graphical presentation puts almost every animation studio currently working in a film to shame, made even more impressive by the fact the whole experience is fully playable. The art direction and emotional story at the game's core fully pulls you into the game's world, and the Legend of Zelda-inspired gameplay and puzzles are more than enough to keep you hooked until the game's climactic and gut-wrenching finale.
Grief is natural, but it can imprison us, change who we are.
Resident Evil 4.
Where's everyone going? Bingo?
The original 2005 Resident Evil 4 is responsible not only for making the over-the-shoulder perspective the industry standard, but for also initiating the Resident Evil series' tonal shift to a more cinematic and film-quality presentation. The story and plot were more detailed and involved than ever before, and the remake managed to take what many fans consider gaming perfection and improve on it. The new additional story content fleshed out the world, and the cutscenes felt lifted directly from a summer zombie blockbuster film, while still fully embracing the campy nature of the original that made it such a classic. The new and improved lighting, character, and enemy designs made the whole world feel more fully realized and realistic, which only added to the tension-filled atmosphere and thrilling journey as Leon fought through all manner of mutations to save the president's daughter.
I'm hearing the president's orders and... that went well.
Marvel's Spider-Man II.
I will never let you go.
While the 2018 title might have had the far superior story, there's no denying that the sequel far surpassed the original in terms of spectacle and presentation. The city of New York has never felt more realized and alive, and the introduction of Venom made for some truly impressive spectacle as the symbiote took over the city. Yuri Lowenthal truly gives his all to his performance, especially during the Venom scenes, and the full Venom is a truly imposing figure unlike any other adaptation before it. The inclusion of nearly every Spider-Man suit in existence allowed players to craft their own Spidey adventure with their favorite version of Spider-Man. The action set pieces were far grander in scale and felt like the Spider-Man action scenes the MCU only wished they could accomplish. From large-scale battles to smaller emotional encounters, Spider-Man 2 blended the comic book stylization with more grounded film-like cinematic summer blockbuster spectacle.
Okay, before we get down to business, there's something I have to tell you.
I'm fresh out of honey.
Final Fantasy XVI. The Final Fantasy series has long been renowned for their cinematics, and for the 16th mainline entry, Creative Business Unit 3 managed to set a new bar for the series. Alongside the Game of Thrones-style narrative full of backroom politics, murder, and conspiracies, Final Fantasy XVI features some of the series' most bombastic boss fights, with each one managing to up the stakes and surpass the one before it. With climactic encounters that wouldn't look out of place in an anime, players will battle mountain-sized bosses, travel into space, and somehow even more, all while the camera dramatically moves into the most opportune location to put all the chaos and effects on display. Anchored by a career-making performance from Ben Starr, Final Fantasy XVI might have deviated from the series' roots more than any other entry, but there's no denying it's by far the franchise's most cinematic game to date. The Last of Us Part 1. Few games have had the impact on gaming that The Last of Us did. While numerous other games had approached the end of the world, few, if any, had done it like Naughty Dog. Everything from the film-like presentation to the decaying world full of hidden secrets, lore, and environmental storytelling to flesh out its world, and especially the performances by Ashley Johnson and Troy Baker, raised the bar for video game storytelling, and the PS5 remake only made all these elements more immersive and oftentimes horrifying. The updated visuals overhauled everything from the lighting to the character models and helped bring the cordyceps-ravaged world into even greater cinematic quality. The Last of Us almost single-handedly changed Sony's trajectory and approach to their games, and the Part 1 remake is the definitive way to experience one of the greatest games of all time.
I swear.
Returnal.
Checking identification on a helmet. It's...
Video games are often the only way to tell certain stories, and Returnal is the perfect example of this concept. With a time-bending narrative designed around the roguelike aspect of live, die, repeat, simply surviving Atropos is only half the struggle as Selene unravels the mystery of the planet and its deep emotional connection to her and her past. Each new area you explore feels unique and like a completely different world, and the onslaught of enemies keep your pulse pounding as you narrowly survive one encounter to the next. The nightmarish combination of organic and inorganic enemies brings the horrific world to life, and the need to constantly stay on the move keeps the adrenaline pumping, and the numerous story beats only deepen the mystery that continues even after the end credits roll. Roguelikes are a genre nearly as old as gaming itself, and Returnal brought that tried and true formula into the modern age.
I told you to leave me alone!
God of War Ragnarok.
We got a tradition called blood payments. It means I get a piece of you for what you took from my family. You'll pick it up.
The God of War series practically invented the cinematic experience back on the PS2, and for the entire Greek saga continued to up the stakes with each new entry. But for the 2018 entry, the scope might have been scaled back, but was no less cinematic in its presentation. The single-take camera throughout the entire adventure was unprecedented, and with the sequel Ragnarok, not only were the stakes greater, but so was the scale. The world was as gorgeous as ever, boss fights balanced themselves between the old school days of epic scale and personal one-on-one conflicts, and as the story progressed, the more emotions and tensions ran high, with everyone on the cast giving it their all to bring these characters and the world-ending stakes of the narrative to its emotionally satisfying conclusion, and Christopher Judge deserves all the praise in the world for his introspective portrayal of Kratos.
Ready yourselves.
Alan Wake 2.
First things first. What's your name?
My name is Alan Wake.
Sam Lake and the team at Remedy have been blurring the lines between live action and gameplay for well over a decade, and while not all their attempts have been successful, with Alan Wake 2, they finally managed the impossible. Alan Wake 2 fully realizes the nightmarish potential of its concept, splitting the game's protagonists between the real world slowly succumbing to Alan's writings and the influence of the dark place and Alan's horrific existence and exploration of this nightmare realm. Mixing elements of live action into many of the game's numerous jump scares and one of gaming's most outlandish and brilliant musical numbers, the oppressive atmosphere of the dark place is filled with endless tension, while Saga's exploration of Bright Falls and the surrounding areas will make you more afraid of the forest than you thought possible. Alan Wake 2 is a cinematic masterpiece that we hope will have a major influence on the medium.
And I thought this place couldn't get any stranger.
Claire Obscure Expedition 33.
Which expedition are you from?
Without question, Expedition 33 is one of the best surprises this entire generation. The French-inspired world is beautifully realized, and the characters have more depth and nuance than we've had from gaming in years, each with their own motivations and backstories that make them feel like real people attempting to fight against insurmountable odds, grounded by impeccable and heartbreakingly real performances from everyone in the cast. Every vista in the world is simply breathtaking, oozing personality, and the deeper you go and the more you explore, the more impressive every little detail becomes. Even the game's battles make use of the game's cinematic camera swinging behind each character before they unleash their attack, making you feel the weight of every blow and breathing a sigh of relief when the fight is over. Everything in Claire Obscure Expedition 33 is a labor of love, and you can feel it in every pixel on screen. Death Stranding 2 on the beach.
Don't you break my kid.
Given Hideo Kojima's affinity for films, it should come as no surprise that love of the medium bleeds into his work. The man is almost single-handedly responsible for cinematic storytelling in video games, and his latest release, Death Stranding 2 on the Beach, is by far his most accomplished work. With near photorealistic visuals thanks to the Decima engine and his team of wizards, Death Stranding 2 is one of the most gorgeous video games ever made and seamlessly blurs the line between video game and film. With incredibly dynamic and cinematic camera angles and an artistic vision for presentation rivaled only by the greatest of filmmakers, Death Stranding 2 delivers an emotional journey for players and some of the most exciting action-packed set pieces and encounters of Kojima's storied career. Death Stranding 2 isn't just a video game, it's a demonstration of what the medium can accomplish.
Of course, there's no point in trying to kill you when you won't stay dead. But there are plenty of other ways to make you suffer.
Which PS5 game do you feel blurs the line between video game and cinematic masterpiece? Share your picks in the comments.
Did you enjoy this video? Check out these other clips from MojoPlays, and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.